Here's another good problem from the book by Stephen Krantz. As you can read from the problem, there's a party which is being held at the house of the Schlobodkins, and the party is hosted by a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Schlobodkin, and they have invited 4 other couples to the party. Not many, but not all people shake hands at the party, and nobody shakes hands twice with another person. There's also another condition that nobody shakes hands with his or her spouse. So the question that has been asked is, how many hands does Mrs. Schlobodkin shake? Now let's see the solution for this. One thing to note here is that everybody gives a different answer when Mr. Schlobodkin asks everybody as to how many hands he or she has shaken. Now, in order that everybody gives a different answer, we need to have all the numbers from starting from 0 and all through 8. Now, as has been mentioned in the problem, that there is somebody in the party who has not shaken any hands at all, which is conveyed by this statement that many but not all shook hands. So there is somebody who has shaken 0 hands, and then we have to have all the numbers from 0 to 8 in order to have a different answer for each of the persons. To elaborate more on this, now there are 10 people in the party, and even if somebody decides to shake hands with everybody else in the party, there would be 9 shake hands. That can be the maximum number. But as the condition exists that one cannot shake hands with his or her own spouse, so the maximum number of handshakes that can be there would be 8. So we have to have all these numbers starting from 0 all the way up to 8, and these would be the different answers given by the different people when they are asked how many handshakes they have done. Now we have to assign this number 8 to one of the persons in the party. Now here, as you see in this top row, what I've done is I have given different names. These are the hosts of the party, and then these are the 4 couples. Now let me assign the value of 8 randomly to any of these people. So let me assign 8 here. Now this person, Mrs. D, she has shaken 8 hands in all. Now she cannot shake hands with her spouse, so she has to now find 8 people in order to complete her quota of 8 hands. So leaving this person, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 people on the left, and Mrs. D has to shake 8 hands in all. So she has to shake hands with each of these persons in order to complete her quota of 8 hands. So let us indicate that at the top. So let us put this 8 not here but here, okay, and then I'll delete this off, and then let me put a 1 everywhere starting from here. Okay, let me put a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and a 1 here. Here Mrs. D cannot shake hands with her husband, and on the left hand side, leaving that person, there are 8 people, and in order to complete the quota of 8 hands, all these persons must shake hand with Mrs. D. So each of those have shaken hands at least once. Now looking at these numbers, we have to have a 0 as well. So the only person remaining to whom 0 can be assigned is Mr. D. So let us assign that 0 here. That is the logic here. If you look at the people on the left here, everybody has shaken hands with Mrs. D once. So therefore none of these people can be assigned a 0. So there's only one option remaining for the 0 to be assigned to, and that is Mr. D. So we assign that 0 here. Now 8 and 0 have been assigned. Let us assign 7 to somebody. So let us do that, and let us assign 7 to Mrs. C. Now she cannot shake hands with Mr. C. She has already shaken 1 hand with Mrs. D. Mr. D is shaking no hands at all. So leaving apart these people, let us look and let us find out how many people are there on the left. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So out of these 7, Mrs. C has already shaken 1 hand with Mrs. D. So now on the left she should find 8 other people and she cannot shake hands with Mr. C. So that means that she has to shake hands with each of these people. So let us put a 1 against each of these people again. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, a 1 here. Okay. Now this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now we have to assign the number 1 to somebody, and each of these people on the left, they already have shaken 2 hands. So who do we find to assign this number 1 to? Obviously there's only one answer, one option left, and it is this person. So here we'll have to put a 1. As we did in the previous case, we assigned 8 here, and then because we could find nobody else to assign 0 to, we assigned that to Mr. D. Similarly here you would realize that once we assign a 7 here, each of these people on the left would shake hands with this person, and therefore they would have shaken at least 2 hands, and therefore the only option left for assigning that 1 is Mr. C. Now if you look at these two couples that we did, here we assigned a 8 to Mrs. D, and then we had to assign a 0 here to Mr. D. So the total of this was 8 plus 0 is 8. Here also you can see 7 plus 1 is 8. Now we'll assign a 6 here, and then this will be a 2 here. Similarly, if we assign a 5 here, there'll be a 3 here, and if we assign a 4 here, there'll be a 4 here. Now that is our answer. The question asks as to how many hands Mrs. Schlobodkins had shaken, and as you can see from the results, the answer is 4.